Well, hello there, listeners. I'm back on my own today again. I thought I'd continue the Mad Movie Club, the Bad Movie Clubs. I suppose we're mad for watching some of these films. I've arrived a little bit early for work, so I'm just sat in my car, and I thought I may as well record this episode. So, last time we spoke, I was talking about the Pope's Exorcist, and I said the next one would be Hercules in New York. It's a cult classic because it's one, well, I think it is actually, getting the stats up here, Arnold Schwarzenegger's first ever film past Pumping Iron, or Pumping whatever it's called, which was like a documentary about his bodybuilding career. So acting career, Arnold Schwarzenegger, just on Wikipedia here, film, Hercules in New York, 1990. He didn't actually star in another film until 3 years later, which was uncredited, and he actually so it was 6 years before his next big movie job, which I couldn't tell you a single thing about. It's called Stay Hungry. Is he one of the main characters? Yes, alongside Jeff Bridges and Sally Field. So yeah, but this was 12 years before probably his next biggest film role, which was Conan the Barbarian. So in it, he's credited as Arnold Strong, which is probably because Schwarzenegger was too difficult to pronounce for back then people didn't know who he was. So which would you rather go for, Arnold Strong or Arnold Schwarzenegger? And also his co-star in there was a guy called Pretzi, a pretzel selling merchant. Don't know whether it's a nickname, him being called Pretzi, or whether he just got called Pretzi because he sells pretzels, but his name is Arnold Stang, so it sort of ties in together. Anyway, for those who don't know about Hercules in New York, apart from the fact it is honestly shit, I genuinely hated it. Also went under the name of Hercules Goes Bananas. Arnold Schwarzenegger is bored of being up in Mount Olympus, that's the place. And he really wants to go to Earth, and eventually Zeus sends him to the land of the men, down to the sea, and he gets picked up by some sort of Navy characters, or the naval ships, and it feels like they're holding him prisoner. He's randomly beating up the crew occasionally, but also they're helping him out. It's really, really odd. And then he goes on this adventure, meets Pretzi, becomes a professional wrestler. Zeus is watching and sort of wants to bring him back because he feels that he's taking the piss out of being a god. And that's really it. Eventually he decides to come back, he gets brought back. I don't know whether it's because I zoned out, but I did not understand the plot of this movie. It just felt like, let's just stick Arnold Schwarzenegger in New York and let him do random shit. That's genuinely what. And it was bad. The film was bad. Pretzi was lovable. He was definitely a character of not the 1970s. He felt like he belonged in the 1930s or 1920s comedy. He definitely didn't belong in the 1970s. But he was charming, and he sort of became friends with Hercules. One of the first scenes is them getting in the taxi, not really knowing where they're going, and then the taxi driver asks where they're going, and says, "Oh, just here's fine," and they just get out. And then Pretzi has no money to pay the taxi driver, and obviously Hercules does either. So I don't understand. It's just a series of random events with Hercules going, "I'm Hercules." Genuinely, if you want to play a drinking game when watching this film, watch it and drink every time Arnie says, "I'm Hercules," because it will be a lot. The other thing to know about this film is, originally when it was released, you can watch this on Pluto.tv, by the way, completely free, and it's with the version with Arnie's dub, so basically his voice is in it. But when it was originally released, they actually dubbed over Arnie's voice, because he's got quite a strong Austrian accent. And back then, it was even worse. So, struggling to understand him. A lot of the words just become mumble and don't make any sense in the context of the film. But they hired someone to dub over him. And in one of the last sequences, for some reason, Hercules is talking to Pretzi from Mount Olympus, but through the radio. But they clearly never filmed that scene with Arnie because it's so weird watching it if you don't know the fact that it was originally dubbed over, because this random posh British voice is talking to Pretzi through the radio, and you're like, Pretzi's going, Hercules, it's me, can you hear me? And it's like, how is that Hercules? That sounds nothing like him. Very, very odd film, very confusing. In some people's heart, it's got a bit of a love because obviously it was Arnie's first ever film, but to me it's absolutely awful and I would never recommend it to anyone. Yeah, I really, really didn't enjoy it. That's all really I've got to say about it. It was a bad film, really bad. It's famous for being bad, famously bad, but yeah, wouldn't recommend it at all. But go away and watch it if you want. I'm not your boss. Right, I'm going to say next week we will be talking... I say next week. Right, I'm going to say this now on the podcast, loud and clear. Me and Charlie, sometimes we struggle to meet up. As you can see, we didn't have an episode last week, and this episode has been me recording it in the car. Genuinely, it's currently 9 o'clock in the evening, and this episode will be going out 6 o'clock tomorrow, the next day. So, we're last minute Nellies, but yeah, we don't always have the time to meet up. So every now and again, we say next week, we don't mean that. What we're going to say from now on is next time, because you can't always expect an episode from us. Sometimes commitments get in the way. We both work shifts. We've both got families. At the end of the day, we love doing the podcast, but sometimes it's not going to be a weekly affair. So next time, because also the next episode is going to be me and Charlie back again. But next time I do a bad movie club review, it's going to be on, what film shall I choose? I think it should be Samurai Cop. Okay? Samurai Cop is on YouTube, I believe. I'll double check that for everyone and put a link out. Samurai Cop, where to watch? It might actually be on Amazon. Let's have a look. Samurai Cop Watch Online. So if you actually search Samurai Cop Watch, it is on the full movie online on YouTube. So you can watch it there. Is it on Amazon Prime as well? It's not on Amazon Prime. So yeah, watch it on YouTube. Completely free to watch and completely fair to watch. So yeah, that one is a great film. It's a bad film, but I enjoyed every minute of that film. Unlike Hercules in New York, which I'd heard was a cult classic, and oh my god, it really was bad. I'd rate it 1.5 out of 10. No, let's rate it a bit higher. 3 out of 10. There were enjoyable moments. There's a great chariot chase scene in which they steal a chariot, and a guy is chasing after him who's buying hot dogs, but then the hot dog vendor's also chasing after him. And it's just a great sequence that goes on for about 10 minutes in this chariot. And the chariot, at some point, I don't know whether, because the whole thing seemed to be just like, let's film this random scene in the park. Literally, the whole film is basically filmed in Central Park, including Olympus. And at one point, the chariot loses its will. And it doesn't seem as though they could have pulled that sort of stunt off. I feel as though it was genuine and the actual chariot lost its will. But it's literally just music for about 10 minutes. And yeah, it is actually a really funny sequence. But that is the only thing it's got going for it. Right. I'm going to leave it there. And I'll speak to you guys when I next see you. Samurai Cop is next. You can watch Hercules on Pluto.tv. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.